What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today when I talk to you about SoFi. SoFi right now is recovering from its lows of 601. I want to break it down on what's really prompting this and what really prompted all of this. So I want to go over everything that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So right now, like I said, 601 the low, 657 the high. Even pre-market did have a low of $5.86. So kind of crazy sell-off. But a lot of that is kind of being rolled over from last week, so negative momentum. The only real new thing that did come out was Warren Buffett indicated that he did sell 50% of his stake, or roughly, of Apple. So kind of signaling more of a top. And then at the same time, you do have more escalations coming from the Middle East, so anticipated war and many things like that. So as it stands, that's what really prompted this. What is really helping the broader market is optimism associated to rate cuts, more specifically a emergency meeting done by Powell within probably this week. And I think from what I've seen, there's roughly about a 30 to 40% likelihood of that occurring. So in reality, that is kind of what is driving the market higher this morning, buying the dip, and that's just because of optimism. And right now, even looking at the September 18th meeting, there now is a 80.5% likelihood of a 50 basis point cut. So obviously Wall Street just said, screw it, we're not having a 25, we're having at least a minimum of a 50. And it's kind of ironic, less than a week ago, Powell was saying that 50% or 50 basis points isn't even on the table. So yeah, right now the market's saying that yes, we need that desperately. Even in fact, there is a 19.5% likelihood of a 75 basis point cut. So once again, if there is a emergency meeting, let's say this week, and they cut maybe 25 or even 50 basis points, then that is really going to kind of help the broader market and kind of hopefully cause a nice recovery. So let me know your thoughts on that. Today, there's been no actual news from SoFi, nothing along those lines, no SEC filing. So last one was on the 2nd, a Form 3. So aside from that, it is just piggybacking off of the broader market, which mind you, it's actually doing fairly well. You do see Robinhood got completely slaughtered. It did have a low of 13.98, still though down 12.7%. So SoFi is doing fairly good all in all. So I'm pretty impressed by that. Despite that though, you also do see shorts currently increasing, but pretty sure a lot of us did anticipate that already. So shorts are increasing 1.67 million shares, 16.88% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 176.62 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost per average is a little bit lower than Friday, so 0.76%. You do see some signs of manipulation, so cost to borrow minimum is negative. So someone is out there trying to drum up some selling or from some shorts to really get into SoFi. So obviously there has to be some manipulation occurring on a daily basis with SoFi. And then utilization 51.87. And actually, even going back to the intraday, you can kind of see it did initially bounce off of that kind of 650 mark. So another clear indication that there is manipulation happening. So shorts just once again are trying to protect their options. I'll quickly bounce over to that. So right now, a lot of money is getting into SoFi through options. So 4.04 million in calls, 9.44 million in puts. Just between this, so 935 and 940, there was $6.6 million just in this one candle right here. And so if we do click on that, we can kind of see exactly what has happened. So roughly it looks like 4.61 million in bearish $7 puts, and then 1.86 million in $6 puts. So more of a hedge. So this is a little bit more complex. So I did a kind of basic tutorial on options. I believe I put that out yesterday and went over buying and selling calls. This is more of a multi-leg transaction, as you can kind of see based off of this. So yeah, it's a common strategy, but still it looks like the more consensus of this strategy is bearish, as you can kind of see. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi in the comments below, and if you have started to dabble with options, let me know in the comments below. Looking at the current open interest on SoFi, so for the weekly chain right here, August the 9th, you do have 3,000 at that 650 strike price, 12,000 at that 7, 16,000 at that 650. So Not that strong of walls, as I've always stated in the past. Typically the first trading day, these do go up by roughly around 40%. So anticipate this by the close of business day to be completely different. So just stay tuned for that. These are some of the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So you do see a lot of the selling that has happened first thing, and then basically 2 minutes, and kind of this one occurred 1 hour after the market opened, but you see some buying starting to happen. So I think in reality, what is really driving SoFi higher is algorithmic trading rather than institutions buying. So again, that's something to keep in mind, distinguish between it all. Right now, 25.07 million shares have been traded, 39.7 is the average. So you are seeing a fair amount of volume being done today. Right now with it at 655, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So 652 will be the strong support that you'll want to watch for SoFi to hold, since it is above that. On the flip side, $7.25 is going to be the next strong resistance slash target. Very wide gap, so anticipate a lot of volatility. In my opinion, I feel like it is going to trade between these 2 points, so this S2 and the pivot, throughout the rest of the week, unless there is that emergency rate cut, whether it be, again, 25, 50, probably not 75 basis points, but probably the 25 or 50. We'll just have to wait and see. Most likely it'd be probably 25. But all in all, I think that would be really good for the broader market. And SoFi, of my watch list, might be the first stock, except for this one right here, Dexcom. But yeah, SoFi might actually be probably the first stock to turn green. Actually, Rivian is doing somewhat okay as well. But yeah, very, very nice recovery for SoFi. So give yourself a shout out if you have been buying, what you've been doing based on the actual chart itself. So it is outside the Bollinger Band. Stochastic, you do see it at 18, so that is considered oversold, very oversold, mind you. And number of retail investors have been getting out, so kind of selling, taking profits, and whatever else. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with SoFi? And what is your thoughts, for instance, on shorts and this cost to borrow minimum? Do you think that something is ever going to resolve from that? I know based on a lot of comments from previous videos, I think the sentiment is very low, and I don't know what is really, like, SoFi does have fairly good earnings. Like, looking over here, they always generally hit their marks time and time again. So their last earnings was a kind of a triple beat, in all honesty. Yeah, so I don't know what it'll take to change the sentiment for SoFi, whether maybe they just do another acquisition, because they do have quite a lot of cash, right? That's something that definitely in this next little bit transition within the market, any company not having cash and resorting to dilution is just going to get slaughtered. So I think that's one very strong positive about SoFi on a side note. But needless to say, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with all that, appreciate all of you watching.